Welcome to the world of music. YouTube Music, a new music streaming service where all the ways music moves you are together in one place. Official audio and video, playlists, artist radio, live performances, covers, remixes, and the rest of the story you can't find anywhere else. It's all here.
Get the win over the Jets. Open the cooler.
You can't act like you've been there before if you've never been there before, Cleveland. I agree. Let's go for it. Let's go around the horn.
It's Around the Horn, the show of competitive banter. Here's Tony Reale.
There is nothing you people do better than react carefully in a restrained, measured way to one game. So this is going to be great today. I really look forward to it. Also, glory to Tim Kalishaw for being the only one on the panel to pick a team winning a game for the first time in 2 years. Congrats. Not just the win, not just happy fans. It's real hope. Baker Mayfield. I know we all heard Hugh Jackson say he was going to look at the film. That's just coach speak, right? We all agree this is Baker's team. It's Baker's team. Good.
Yeah.
Tim Kalishaw, start us off. What did you see last night that impressed you most from Mayfield?
Well, I don't want to give away any of the points I just got, but as somebody who said on this show I would take Sam Darnold over Baker Mayfield,
Okay,
I got to
you're
say,
giving away the
Baker
points
Mayfield has done everything right since he got to Cleveland, and that includes his imitation of General Manager John Dorsey. But now here he is in week 3, and, okay, it's 14-0, and you need me now, Tyrod's hurt. Okay, I'll come in and complete 74% of my passes and look like I'm back in Oklahoma, just throwing the ball all over the field, moving the team around, and win the game. There was one throw in particular down to Landry, down there the 5 or 10 yard line. There was no opening. They showed there were 2 jets all around it. There wasn't a sliver of an opening, and he slipped it in there. That's the thing we didn't know after throwing all those open receivers at Oklahoma. Can he really make those throws? He showed last night he definitely can.
Glenn Yates, what impressed you most from Baker Mayfield?
I hate to say this, most basically was his swag. The same thing that's impressed me ever since he went into training camp. Remember when he decided he was going to put a Winnebago outside of the field, and it was going to be their little quarterback's clubhouse, and then he was the one dancing in pregame? This has been his team, as far as I'm concerned, ever since that, and it was just a matter of time before he got in. What's interesting about this is that I wonder if Browns fans are happier that they got a win with him than they did with Tyrod. I've got to believe that that's the case simply because of how he carried himself in that game. The throws were obviously
Wait, what are you saying there? That Browns fans are happier they got a win with Baker Mayfield than they would be happy they got their first win in 2 years with Tyrod Taylor?
I believe so. I think it's an interesting question considering what you've got to do going forward regarding that head coach and the decision he has to make or not make, as most of us believe. It's a fascinating question, but either way, good for you, Browns.
Oh, but you're saying because it's something you can really hang your hat on, is a move for the future. That's why they would be
correct.
Woody Page, what from Mayfield last night impressed you most?
He looked like he belonged in pro football. He had a presence about him that made him seem like the stage wasn't too big. I mean, he was playing just like we saw in the playoffs last year in college. I mean, here's a guy that has come back in the fourth quarter in 3 consecutive games and won. I just believe that it's not too big for him, that he just brought it down to his size. He was so accurate with his passes, and I mean, he wasn't afraid to throw into a crowd and get his ball squeezed in there. I think he was aware what he was doing. Think about the fake play for the 2 points. He just sold that better than any fake play I've seen in wherever. He's out there signaling, and everybody was confused on the Jets. So I think that he's perfect for this game, and I do think that Clint's right. That Cleveland's more excited about the win because they're going to see a guy they hope for the next 10 years instead of 10 in 1 year.
Now we turn to Mina Kimes.
Well, I also picked the Browns. Tony, you can check the experts' picks on ESPN.com.
All right, wait. Where'd you pick this? On ESPN.com? All right, ESPN.com. I'll allow it. I thought it was Twitter. I'll allow it. Go.
I got 2 coronations last night. One, Baker Mayfield was incredible, decisive, mature, throwing guys open, hitting them in stride. This is undoubtedly his team. The other coronation I saw took place on the sidelines after last night. Hugh Jackson is indisputably the finesse king of the NFL. Jeff Fisher, he snatched their crown because consider the irony, guys. The quarterback he did not give the opportunity to win the job probably saved his job last night. Now, coaches bench rookies all the time, that's fine, but Hugh Jackson made this decision in March before he even saw Baker Mayfield. And after yesterday, I think we can all agree it was the wrong choice.
Yeah, anybody else questioning why Mayfield wasn't playing all along like Mina is? Tim, you were raising your hand? Sure. And answer this as well. Would the Browns be 3-0 if Mayfield was playing all along?
No, I was going to go the other way. And I don't think just because he played really well and Tyrod was really struggling, I don't know if they beat the Steelers, a team they tied. I don't know how Baker looks if it's the opening game of the season and he's thrown out there. Watching a few games, even if it's just 2 or 3, can help.
How about you, Yates?
All right. I agree. This was a bit of a no-pressure situation in many ways. And let's not forget how the Browns lost those first 2 games. It's because the kicker was a disaster. I don't think it's fair to say that they would have been any better with Baker Mayfield.
So last thing, let's just tie this up in a bow. A recap. Woody, you can answer the question. Do we see the birth of something special for this franchise and in this league last night?
We're not seeing the birth of a playoff team, but we are seeing the birth of a resounding sort of association between the Browns fans who've become so frustrated over the years and the team. That they're connected. They're well connected now.
Right.
And I think that they have a chance to win 6 or 7 games. They're playing a lot of playoff contenders.
Good. So then we saw 2 births. If we saw the birth of that, we also saw the birth of the newest Hyde in the world, which is an incredible thing that he got to play in the game and then have a child on his birthday and score a touchdown. But amazing thing. Congrats to Carlos Hyde. Comparing Mayfield and Sam Darnold, that's going to be happening for their entire careers because number 1, number 3 pick. Comparing the Jets right now to where they were 11 days ago, winning the game in Detroit and then scoring 48 and now losing their last 2. Darnold took the blame for last night's loss, saying he has to be better. Anunua, said Darnold did as well as he could with plays that were called. And the New York Post, toilet bowls. The major malfunction, Clint Yates?
The major malfunction was that they sat around and watched Baker Mayfield just like everybody else in America did. As soon as the rookie comes in, they kill their blitz rate and they decide they don't want to go after the guy, which was stunning considering he's not the veteran. If I'm Todd Bowles, I'm bringing everything I've got to make sure that he's getting confused on looks. They did none of that. They basically pulled back and let him pick them apart, which was not smart defensively coming from a defensive head coach.
All right, so you're not even looking at the offense here. You think that the malfunction was on defense and how they've played Mayfield. But let's ask Mina. Do you believe it was the defense? Do you believe it was the offense? Is there anything malfunctioning with this team right now?
I'll go with C, all of the above. Look, the rookie quarterback looked like a rookie. He was skittish, made bad decisions, but I don't think the offensive coordinator, Jeremy Bates, put him in a good position to succeed because they didn't stretch the field at all. The Browns defense was able to play very aggressively on Darnold all night. But the defense, the veterans on the team also made a bunch of mistakes. Trumaine Johnson with an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty that extended a drive for the Browns, and then, the stupid Isaiah Crowell penalty as well. There were just mistakes all around for this team. Todd Bowles can't be happy with the squad.
Duly noted. The Jets are the Jets. We got that. But if I can ask specifically on Darnold here, Woody Page, taking the blame the way he did, was that a game where he got away from him in the middle of the game, or is the game planning not right for Darnold right now? What do you think?
I'm putting the blame on both Darnold and Jeremy Bates, the offensive coordinator. I've always had respect for him, but what he did was he tried to rein Darnold in last night. Every one of his passes early on seemed like it was a screen pass. And that's what they were going to try and win with, just get out of there with a victory. And you had to actually work more with Darnold on passes. I mean, that screen pass cost him his first interception on the first play of the first game. So I think Jeremy Bates' game plan just really stunk. And the Darnold play stunk as much. And so I think you put it together. It wasn't the defense. It's not a multiple choice quiz here, Mina. You have to go with somebody specific.
See, that's the veteran answer there, right? All right, and Tim Kalishaw for you, Darnold specifically.
I will take the coordinator for what he's answered, but I'm going to eliminate Darnold because I think the best thing the Browns do is get after the passer. And I think that's why they were leading the league in turnovers, takeaways the first 2 games. And even though they didn't get a ton of sacks, he had no time. They were all over him with some very creative either blitzes or the way they rushed. So I don't think the Jets' offensive line was equipped to handle that team.
Okay, just a yes or no question here. Anyone going to give a little bit of pause because they played 3 games in 11 days? Anybody?
Yes.
Yeah, and they're on the road on a Thursday night.
So, they were outscored 20-3 after the Isaiah Crowell celebratory swipe, going for that Charmin sponsorship. Rich Eisen called this the butt crumble. The oddest thing about this is that was his second celebration, his second touchdown. He actually did. So he forgot that he wanted to do it, or he was saving it for number 2. we'll move on. Thank you for that horn. Very well done. One more game I want to get to the preview for Sunday, okay? Let's talk about the Colts and the Eagles. Carson Wentz returning. What's a fair expectation for a quarterback who hasn't been healthy to play in 9 months, Mina?
I'm cautiously optimistic. Optimistic because they didn't rush him back, Tony. The reason they held on to Foles was that they wanted to give Wentz time to recover. They were conservative with the game plan, but I'm cautious because he has to strike a very fine balance between showing that he's confident, that he's the same quarterback he was before, that he can move in the pocket, throw in the run, but not make the same mistakes that kind of contributed to this injury, which was being overly aggressive and physical, which is also part of what makes Carson Wentz Carson Wentz. So I think they're going to win. I think he's going to play well behind a very good offensive line, but there's some cause for concern for Eagles fans.
Woody Page?
Mina, I somewhat disagree with you. I'm not as cautious as you are. I think he's going to play extremely well. People are saying, well, look, they're missing all those wide receivers. They've got a couple of backs. Bo's going to be out. But I think that's why they need him in the lineup. He's a guy that can operate behind a great offensive line. They got a good defense. If he comes back and he's like Carson Wentz, even with a little rust, as he was last year, I think he's going to make the difference in the game. So I'm very optimistic that he's going to be the same guy he was last year. He has been working out. He just hasn't been in a situation where there's going to be contact.
Tim Cowlishaw?
Probably 80 to 85% of what we saw last year. I think that's what we'll see, partly for what Woody said, missing some key people. I think he'll be mostly okay. If the first game would have meant something enormous, he would have played in week 1. He probably could have played 3 or 4 weeks ago, but they were extremely cautious, waiting until they lost the game to announce he'd been cleared for practice.
Right, they were waiting until they lost the game.
No, it's okay to get out there. And, so I think it'll be very good Sunday.
No Sproles, still no Jeffrey, no Ajayi. Is this the week to bring him back, Quinn Yates?
Yeah, it was, and that's what my point is. I'm not so concerned about his injury status because they were just waiting for the chance to do it, and they got their own excuse. But also, the Colts are missing all types of people as well, and the Colts aren't even that good. They've had like 11 guys that haven't even practiced all week, and the Eagles are at home. I'm fairly certain this is going to be fine.
All right, fairly certain. Great. That's a mortal lock for Quinn Yates. It's be fairly certain. Everybody's got Philadelphia in this one. Mina, you got Philly in this one too? Okay. Cowlishaw got Philly. All right, we're going to take a break here. I just want to say one thing real quick, Mina. Ryan Fitzpatrick is 35 years old. I'm not sure. Buy or sell next. That's what you get for making a joke on Twitter. What do you want? Mansplain.
Around the Horn is brought to you by Dish. Tuned into you.
Buy or sell.
I'm old enough to remember before Baker Mayfield when it was Pat Mahomes' league. Woody is old enough to remember before Pat Mahomes when it was Jimmy Garoppolo's league. 49ers Chiefs Sunday. Mina, what to buy, what to sell from the 2 starting quarterbacks?
I am buying that it's going to be a high-scoring game. Both of these quarterbacks have advantages going into this. Pat Mahomes has arguably the best weapons in the NFL, certainly superior to Jimmy Garoppolo, wide receiver, tight end, running back, like everything he has working for him. Jimmy Garoppolo gets to play the Chiefs' defense, which looks like we'll be missing Eric Berry again. But the 49ers secondary is also diminished, which is why I would give the edge to Mahomes, but I expect big games out of both quarterbacks this weekend.
Throw a number out there for Mahomes since we've been tracking. 4 touchdowns, 6 touchdowns. How many for Mahomes?
3.
I like how you answered that. Like you never considered how many touchdowns. Give him you right here. What do you think? How about you?
Yes, it's got to be, I'm buying Mahomes because I want to see him to continue to develop. And I saw him in his only start at the end of last year, and I think he's going to be a great quarterback, and he's beginning to prove that. And in regard to, they're going to need to score a lot of points. Let me follow up on Mina there. Their defense has given up over 1,000 yards in the first 2 games, so they've got to continue to score 30 points.
Tim Cowlishaw?
Yeah, it's very tempting to look at those passing yardage numbers Rivers and Roethlisberger had against the Chiefs and go with Garoppolo. I just don't think he has the weapons to do it. This is the home, the first home game for the Chiefs. Their fans are going crazy. 5 more touchdowns for Mahomes and a big win.
5 is what Kalisha says. 3 is what Kime says. Yates, what do you say for Mahomes?
I'll say 4, but I'll say 1 on the ground. Of course I'm buying Mahomes. He's the obvious, he's a constant here. But my concern here is what's happening with the Niners and what's happening with the relationship between Kyle Shanahan and Garoppolo. I mean, this guy's getting paid nearly $30 million, and Shanahan was supposed to be the next guy that's got all this, modern offense stuff. Garoppolo nearly blew that game against the Lions in the fourth quarter when he threw a pick that ends up getting called back. I really want to see how this develops between those two guys.
I love we just referred to a guy with 3 career starts as the constant versus the guy with 10 career starts as the constant too. Give him mute for Flynn Yates. We'll move on. Previewing college football games for me now tomorrow. Nebraska at Michigan. Because this is Scott Frost, career 0-2 at Nebraska with losses to Colorado and Troy, saying, quote, "This could get worse before it gets better," end quote. Woody, buy yourself Frost saying that?
Well, I'm buying it because he's being realistic. I want to apologize to everybody that was born in Nebraska. Hello, Bina. But they're not going to be any good this year. He's using a walk-on quarterback. They had a really nice young quarterback in Martinez, and they're not going to win but more than 3 or 4 games this year in the Big Ten.
Kalisha?
I'm selling this. Woody knows, first of all, Colorado's pretty good, and they had to hit some huge plays after Nebraska's quarterback got hurt.
When heartburn hits, fight back fast with Tums Smoothie. It starts dissolving the instant it touches your tongue and neutralizes stomach acid at the source. Only from Tums.
To win that game, also losing to Troy, not that big a deal. They beat LSU a year ago. Nebraska will play Michigan very close, so to speak, Saturday.
Flynn Yates?
The reason I'm buying this is because of the coach on the other side of the ball, who is the complete opposite of Scott Frost when it comes to being realistic about what could be done. I love the fact that Frost is saying that this could get worse. Meanwhile, Harbaugh's out there promising everything and delivering absolutely nothing. Nebraska's going to have a lot of trouble getting back anyway. Smart on you, Frost, for keeping it real.
Yeah, I'm buying it. I find his honesty refreshing. Look, we remember his undefeated season, but the year before that, UCF went 6-7. It takes time to turn a program around, and Nebraska really needed to be turned around, especially that defense. You're starting a freshman quarterback. It's going to take a second.
Yeah.
Patience, my fellow Nebraskans.
It takes time, and you need a quarterback. And Martinez, your fellow Nebraskans, one of the many places you live, but you've got to give you credit for being born there. By the way, anyone notice Kalisha says he's going to be close, so to speak? Gambling is legal now all over the place, Tim. You don't need to be so shadowy about it, man. All right, go to your OTB. Let's move on. Buy or sell 3. Minnesota Timberwolves saying no to Jimmy Butler's trade request. Rebuffing trade inquiries is how Woj reported. What happens now, Tim?
Well, I don't think anything happens. I mean, I don't think it makes any sense to trade him. Le'Veon Bell notwithstanding, guys usually don't let millions of dollars go by and just not play. If there's a chance to move him during the season, you do it. But right now, his trade value after what he said would be, practically zero.
Flynn Yates?
Yeah, but if he apparently wants to go, and apparently he's been, I've said this before, somewhat of a headache at other teams, why would you start rebuffing trades? You never know. These offers could dry up, and then it could get worse as the season goes along. I think if somebody gives you a big enough offer, you've got to seriously consider it.
After everything that's come out about Cat, Wiggins, and Butler, do you really think these guys are going to play together this season? To me, this is just a negotiation process. Minnesota is hoping that they get something good in return.
Oh, you think they're bluffing then by saying no now? It's the kind of up the ante a little bit.
They're
How about you, Woody?
more than bluffing.
Yeah, everything is for sale. They're bluffing because they want the kind of Carmelo trade that the Knicks made with the Nuggets back. If they had waited till the trade deadline, they wouldn't have gotten that truckload of players and draft choices. So I think they're saying, yeah, we'll do it, but you better come with some big numbers.
Big numbers today. Everybody's scoring average went up. Ooh, Woody Page and Tim Kalisha eliminated. So to speak, Tim. Showdown, so to speak. Yates. Last showdown of the week. Times Yates, good luck in showdown. I want to ask you guys how big a deal something is. And remember, baseball's only been around 170 years. Francisco Arcia pitches, catches, and homers in the same game. He's the first person ever. Gave it a 21-3 loss, but he's the first person ever. His quote after the game, "I am pretty happy, I guess." Pretty happy, or guess, Mina?
Oh, as a Mariners fan, I relate to that quote. I think it was appropriate given the context. I don't know what the baseball word is for garbage time, but if you accomplish a lot in garbage time, you can't really celebrate.
The cool thing about this is the fact that he actually hit a bomb. For all these guys who try to play 9 positions in a game and move all around, screwing up my scorecard, I don't care about that. This is like old school Little League. The best player does all this stuff. I love it. Come on, man.
All right,
Great.
I'll allow for that. A point, Clinton Yates. There you go. Meanwhile, garbage time. That's what Woody and Tim call the showdown they're not in. Showdown 2, let's move. Patriots Lions Sunday night. If you believe New England, Josh Gordon's going to play. Prediction for how that goes, Yates.
I will go with 1 catch. People tend to forget that great year he had in the NFL was 5 full seasons ago. I'm rooting for this guy from a human standpoint, but I just don't know that I can believe he's going to step into that offense and be something productive.
Normally, I wouldn't expect much, but the Patriots really need him. They are death. They have no wide receivers. Last game against the Jaguars, Philip Dorsett had the most yards for a wide receiver, 44 yards. They are desperate for something.
That's a point, Mina Kimes. I think they're going long. 80 yards to him in the first place on the field. That's so Belichick. Showdown 3. This will decide the game. Blake Snell trading a fan a baseball for chicken fingers. Who wins that trade, Mina?
Oh, Blake Snell does, but only if there was honey mustard sauce with the chicken fingers. My favorite food combination of all time. I just love chicken fingers.
Chicken fingers are meals for children. If you're a Major League Baseball pitcher, that is not what you should be aspiring to eat. This is easily a win for this kid. He gets a big-time baseball. And Snell gets something you can get at any place in America or Canada, for that matter, where they work.
You call me a
I think
child.
there's an expression, Clinton. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Kimes, FaceTime.
Oh, I'm going to celebrate with some fingers. If you missed it, I would like to give a tip of the hat to a story appeared in Golf Digest by Max Adler. Incredible tale about a former inmate named Valentino Dixon who was wrongfully accused of murder in prison for 27 years. Now, Max found out and looked into this story when Dixon started sending these incredible artwork and pictures of golf courses to the magazine. It had a happy ending, but it is a tragic story, an indictment of the legal system. Please go check it out, Golf Digest.
It really is. I'm so glad you're sharing that. Everybody should check out that story. It's happening all the time. Social justice in this country. We're on a 71.5 hour break. We're going to take a break for the weekend. We'll see you on Monday. Have a good one. Bye now.